Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here talking to you about the new moon happening on the 2nd of September, and she is going to take place in Virgo. It is going to be a hard time for some, and for some it's going to be very easy. It is just whether or not you can let go of your karmas and burdens and obsession with the detail, and whether or not you can also look at the fine print and let it go and allow life to take over. So before we go into this very tricky question mark of allowing life to take over and surrendering oneself to miracle space and the level of life where you actually want to be on, let's introduce my channel. Here's my channel. Subscribe to my channel. If you want, you can have a look at my website. If you want, you can have a look at my Patreon. Oh my God, you can even get a reading with me. So now that we're done, let's come back to the actual subject of the moon. So we do have a new moon happening on the 2nd. She is going to be opposite Saturn, and it is about getting things right. It is also about being quick to judge a situation. We want outcomes. We want it all to happen now. For some people, for some reason, it's not just about you and your friends, it's about the greater community. And for certain individuals, it is also about the greater cosmos and the greater association of people. And it is a biggest picture actually that we're painting with this very fine little strokey paintbrush of Virgo, and it should really be there for us through space and time. We are trying to put a collective of souls together. Sometimes during this time we're really breaking free from patterns and karmas, as I said earlier, and we really want just a happier, luckier life. But we have time, we have damage from the past, we have to-do lists, we have health concerns, we have emotional body issues. People are really not feeling that lucky right about now. Some people are feeling worse for wear. So if you have a lot of karmic backlog and you're really set on fixing those karmas, Virgo can be good for polishing things up. She could be very good for solving problems, solving other people's problems. She is very good for employment. She's very good for making sure that you've got what you really want in your life and whether or not everything fits. But, however, talking about miracle space and inviting more clarity and more connection into your life, creating a more agile and more living, fresher, and I suppose miraculous life. We have to do nothing sometimes. And if you like, you can follow me on some of this. We need to admit that all that we thought and planned may actually have to come to an end, and that there is another edge or an extra level of life that we didn't know about. So whether you're thinking in a very rigid way or if you are thinking in a very miraculous way, I don't know. But for sure, for some of us, we can solve many a problem and solve many schemes should we wake up to the moment and enjoy it and see what else the wind blows in, because sometimes nature has a way with us and she will line people on your path, or she would suggest things to you, or she may miraculously point you in the better direction. In some cases, the serendipity and the idea of being in free flow is not going to be welcomed by us or other people in the group. Sometimes we are very righteous and maybe we're very shallow about our results, so we're thinking just about the money, or we're thinking just about our friends, or we're thinking just about what it takes to survive a certain industry, or all of that hard-nosed stuff. But in certain different situations, there are going to be misguidances and guidances, secret pathways, secrets, little steps, baby steps, and unique, unconventional behavior, maybe coming from yourself or other people, or unique readjustments that may not be able to be there if you are too hard-nosed and if you are too done with the details. Also, this kind of splitting of worlds, whether you choose to live in a light-hearted way or if you choose to just drill your life till the end of time. It's kind of really your choice. That feeling of drilling your life, the feeling of putting things together in such a cruel and heartless way, the feeling of needing results, the feeling of being obsessed with being somebody or being next to somebody can be very grueling and very hard. And that sometimes sets us up with a certain hardship. So sometimes some of us have hardship in our lives because we've been done, like it's already been done, like the amount of energy, money, or obsession that it took for you to generate something is just so intense. And sometimes time can pass really slowly during this time. Sometimes certain people will get ironic or kind of ugly results. And sometimes we may not really want that which we've done because we are looking actually at the best of us here during this time. And the best is very easy to spot because this Venus is itching towards South Node and retrograde. So she will ironically actually show you the right way around. But some of the time this is hard to understand. And I've been actually publishing some audios about regrets and about what to do when your life has gone too far along a certain route. And if you are looking at also people that are refreshing themselves and that are going forward and seemingly birthing themselves anew or creating miracles in their life, and you kind of like, but what makes that person have that capacity to do so? Why can't I do it? And some of the time is because it's a little bit too sticky and it's a little bit too stuffy and it's a little bit too planned. And basically the better choice here is to respect other people and also yourself and what you've done in your life, and try to rejoin, regroup, and reconnect the dots and other people in your life so that you don't basically have to struggle and go through a certain reality that is tough and it feels like it would take you a long time. And sometimes this is the worst feeling, when you understand that a project will take you many years and you got to sit there saving money, you got to like talk to the right people, you got to like, you know, like bring yourself up in an industry, and it feels like it's a long, hard job, or it's just a long, hard way to get yourself to somewhere where you feel, or you know, that fits right. We have an unbelievable conjunction between Eros, Juno, South Node and retrograde Lilith, and Venus opposing retrograde Neptune. Neptune is in the last degrees of Pisces, and I can't say that they're completely at a kind of opposite. But there is an aspect of that. And of course, the South Node is definitely opposite to the North Node. And the North Node is going to be close to fortune during this time, which is a lucky sign. So to me, it looks like you don't actually have to struggle so much. You don't have to beat yourself down. You don't have to carry so many bags, and you don't have to do so many tasks to understand how things are done. There is nothing wrong with a quick and easy result. There is nothing wrong with doing, and then one day it's like, it just opens. So this may be that you've cracked it. So in certain cases, people have cracked something they've been working on for such a long time. They've been chopping wood, carrying water, they've been working hard, they've been working long hours, and now it's going to have to stop, either because you have cracked it, the ice has cracked, and you have witnessed yourself find safety and freedom, and maybe also a certain type of financial or success-based result, successful result. Or in some cases, and I can see this happening more often, you've been going, doing, drilling, and actually you've been going in the wrong direction, or you've been after the wrong thing, and then suddenly something cracks and you go, actually, I'd rather do something easier, I'd rather do something cheaper, I'd rather do something less complicated, and I would actually rather do that which fills me with joy and makes me feel happy. Venus is very close to the South Node. It's easier to see now the more beautiful people in the group, more orchestrated people in the group, any kind of working environment. It's easy to see a silent healer or a natural poet. It's very easy to see a human that has done it. You don't have to actually walk out there in the middle of the day and scream at the crowd to get some attention. So for example, if you were meant for greatness during this time, if you are picked as suddenly a best friend or a person that knows more, if you suddenly understand that you are the one and you've come a really long way to achieve a certain purpose or achieve a certain strength or strategy in your life, that's going to become a no-brainer. So you don't have to ask, am I good at that which I do? do I need to pursue this path? It may be not wrong to ask sometimes if you're incredibly confused and if your mind has been trained to seek power in that which is hard, dangerous, or damaging for you. And here I am again with the Patreon channel. Have a look in the links below, as I've done a very long audio recently about miracle spaces. It would have been posted on the 25th of August, which is today. And it is about the neurological system having to go through an upgrade to receive better, upgraded, fresher, up-to-date and more beautiful paths and plans in your life within which there is no hard case scenarios, there's no hard jobs to do, and there are no limits also because they're so natural and organic, or because it's just so nice to see you working at this level. So also we have Venus and Pluto at a trine, kind of, almost. And also we do have this almost a trine with Uranus. Although Uranus is in Taurus, he still has kind of an almost trine aspect. So we have here Pluto, Uranus, and Venus. What can I say about this? Not always, but quite often you will see a method or a path or a plan that will suit you right, and it's an instant reaction. Oh, I want that. Like, oh, that's exactly what I want. Oh, wow, thank you so much for bringing that to my house. That's exactly what I needed for my home. Oh, yes, I know this person. This is exactly like, yeah, we know each other. So it's a very, very quick turnaround. It's much easier to get quicker cash for certain things. It's much easier to get a quick glance. At a glance, a person knows another person. It's easy also to fall in love at a glance. Do I think this is good? Well, it's easier than most cases. Also, it's hard to find a certain type of person. Maybe you've been looking all your life for somebody or for something, and now it's just basically up to you whether you do or do not reach for it and just grab it. So it's an interesting time to grab somebody's number. It's an interesting time to suddenly see somebody that definitely catches your eye, that you're completely fond of, and it's a very easy way out of certain situations and into other situations, as we do have Lilith close to the South Node with Juno and Eros, and also Venus there. So this is about sexuality. For some people, it's about romance, it's about love. And for some people, it's about money and attainment, or it is just about a better situation. And for certain people, it is about spirituality. Spirituality is an interesting and a difficult topic at the moment because we definitely have Saturn in Pisces, and that kind of rules spirituality. Saturn here is an opposition to the Sun. He doesn't want us to have it so easy. He doesn't want us to be so critical of the past, so that we basically transfuse. So we come out of the past and we just go, yeah, that wasn't lucky for me, and I'm just going to go forward into the future. We do have Jupiter in Gemini. He likes things quick. He likes a quick gain. He's like, all right, I know which button to press to get what I want. And some of the time we are wishing to leave a previous job or a previous level of consciousness, previous center point, and we are so happy-go-lucky to jump into a new situation, into new principles, into new beliefs, and into new adventures. Do you have the time for it, though? So lucky things can come very quickly. Resolve in love can be very fast. Coming out of a spiritual, emotional, or psychic bond and walking into a new one is very easy and it's very enriching. Did you have the time? Some of it is definitely more about keeping pace. Certain people will have to be there for a very, very long time. For example, you met somebody, you don't just fall in love and enjoy your lives. You have to spend a long time with this person. Something has to happen between you, or there is like a lot of worthwhile long-term successions or long-term developments happening for some people. So for example, you're walking into something very rich and crazy and adventurous and exciting. It turns out that you'll be in service to that person maybe for the rest of your life. Sometimes here you might find somebody who's going to be in the back of your head forever. Sometimes also, be careful, easy to contract a disease that doesn't go away. Also, it's easy to find a person that just will never leave your heart. So even though this is quick and easy and there is a feeling of delight and success and wanting to stop a previous process and wishing to walk into a new process, We do have a question. Did you want to be there for such a long time? So the idea basically here is to walk away and to walk forward. I wouldn't say necessarily to go through people, to go through numbers, to go through adventures as quick as possible. But there's definitely that type of thing happening here. To me, it looks, because Saturn is an opposite sign to the Sun, you can afford to walk away very quickly. So, for example, 4 hours here, 2 hours there, leave it, leave it. Let things leave your mind. And it's also interesting to walk forward and not to get caught, and not to feel like you're looking for respect or resonance for too long a time. So respect and resonance, we do have this goofy, odd, retrograde Pluto in between Capricorn and Aquarius, and he's asking for us, or asking of us, with him being at a sextile to ascendant bound Neptune and retrograde, he is asking for us, like, maybe, like, do you want to know, like, the biggest truth, or do you want to be part of the bigger group, or do you want to have the biggest medal, do you want to be one of the best in the world, or do you want to be one of the biggest achievers? The thing here is, yeah, the polar opposite thing is also true. Yes, of course, you can walk in and say, yeah, I want to finally claim some kind of a prize. This is a long-term engagement, and this will take you many years to solve this, or it will be many decades of your time. It will be a lot of time. The idea is, yeah, you walk in, you're like, okay, I'm going to be best friends with this person, and I'm completely set up. The way that I would probably see it, this depends. For some of these opportunities, some people have been waiting for a long time. Interesting time to walk out and walk into a marriage. Interesting time to walk out and walk into a spirituality or religion. Interesting time. But then here I am also telling you, nothing is for real. Nothing is that big a deal. We have Lilith, Venus next to South Node. Nothing, okay, you don't have to get so epic and so grand about anything, and you definitely don't probably need this for that long. So the idea is to still keep going, keep moving, try to keep the waters of your body moving, keep hydrated, go for a run, go for a jog. Sure, you met somebody very nice, but make sure that you don't stay there like almost like this in front of a mirror, admiring this energy, or in front of like some kind of reflection or illusion. You don't need this. Maybe you don't need things to be so potent for you. And unfortunately also because we have this kind of a trine thing happening between Pluto there and Uranus, and also Venus to a degree. La-di-da, you might get very emotional. So for example, wow, I think I found God and I can't look away. Or like, wow, I want to be here and I can't look away. If something is really jamming on you to stay behind, you have to learn. Now, this is like staying in an ashram for like the rest of your life, or having to change your picture and maybe being there for real and forever. If you are wanting to do that, that is okay. I would not suggest being in too much enigma over anything or anybody. We have a brisk energy here. Naturally, Virgo enjoys brisk change of events. She enjoys a level of maturity, but she also does like to speak of things very quickly. She does like to point out things and to move on. If you can, let go of anything and anybody and move. And make it sure that you are active, that you're activated, and that you see what else nature has to show you, what else life is about, because anything and everything has a certain type of shadow side, and everything and anything has a certain type of trauma bond sometimes, or a karma. Now, I don't think that this is entirely true for everybody, but the minute that you see something or somebody being a little bit too close, or a little bit too passive, or a little bit too enigmatic, move ahead and move on. And the quicker that you can move through several different ideas, the more likely you are going to land it. The idea is to keep moving, maybe sometimes until fate or life itself knocks on your door and says, hey, I got the perfect thing for you. That is better than if you stare at something and you forget yourself. So the idea of the mirror image being very important to people sometimes, with Jupiter there and Mars there, both in Gemini. The idea of something perfect or something real or relevant being there and being pure, and now you are done with the past and you want this perfect new thing, if that is happening with you, or if you are thinking, I really need this result and I will chase it like all my life, try to stay neutral and walk free. Anything, anybody, anything, any part of the world, any kind of situation that is becoming a magnet where you can't help but stop there. Try to see where you can move so you keep agile, so your soul is free, and that you don't have to have any kind of people, organizations, or involvement maturing you for a really long time, for many years to come, as we do have this weird grand opposition between Saturn and the Sun. You will have to grow up very fast and admit that this is not it, or this is not right for you. The more you're moving, the more you are even condescending people, or you're judging a situation like, yeah, I know, this is nice, but this is just not how things are done. Oh, why not? It's just not. Okay, I can go forward. I don't need to pander. I don't need to spend my money. I don't need to spend my time. I don't need to spend my force. I don't have to become it. I don't need to be there. So the more you are unsticking yourself and ungluing yourself, the better is your health, the better is your stamina, the more sufficed and concise you are, the better is the movements in your body. Also, the gastrointestinal tract, which is what Virgo is known for, she is the place where we need to look at health. And for a lot of people, it starts with the guts and the nervous system, which are kind of one and the same. So the brain kind of mirrors, the biology of the intestinal tract and the guts. We don't need to maybe talk about this a lot. This is like a lot. The passages between the different tissues, the passages between different organs, they have to be very quiet, but very quick and exact. So we are removing blocks. We are removing icicles. We are removing long-term. We are removing respect and like trying to keep things at a balance in such a way where you just keep on going in the same thing. Groundhog's Day, having blocks in your blood, having blocks in your body, having a blocked up intestinal tract or a blocked up mind, having things that go around in circles, you're saying the same thing over and over, having things in your world that never change and you may not want them to. Things like, I will always buy these crackers and I will always eat them. Like at midnight, I get like a midnight snack sort of feeling and I go to the fridge and this is what I do. So like obsessive compulsive disorders. Now the thing is, we've done this a little bit the wrong way, I believe. Like astrology talks of Virgos being about jobs. Yeah, sure, get a job, right? So people are like, oh, I need to work on my CV, new moon in Virgo, I need to spruce out my house, I need to get real. So we definitely do have also like the danger of falling, not necessarily ill, but we do definitely have a danger of falling short, falling unwell by not keeping touch with reality and not keeping truthful and not keeping tactful and not keeping neat. But then I also see this as kind of an untruth as well. Like, for example, if you're really obsessed with like your job or neatness or truth or having certain things in the right place, I feel that sometimes you might actually be blind to perfection when it happens and you might not actually notice the moment. So inertia is limited because you're like, oh, I got my to-do list, or I got to do this and this by the time that I'm like 47 or something like that, or I got to do this and this by the time I'm 34. You may not have it in you to really get aggressive enough to cause curious and cathartic changes. You may not be well enough or pleased with yourself enough. You may not have enough self-esteem built up from Leo time also, or just in general in your family tree or in your life or in your lineage to really get there by yourself. You may not be special enough to yourself sometimes to call the shots and to enjoy not necessarily a serendipitous but a free-flowing, vivid, living, fresh type of life. So I'm concentrating on this because also, a lot of people have stagnation and stagnating experiences and behaviors. They live a stagnant life, or they have a stagnant home, or they have an unequilibrated system. So the first thing is cleansing, gut cleanses, mainly anti-parasite cleanses. Lemon water is wonderful, like a glass of warm lemon water, or even like a little bit of juicing. just to make sure that things are even and that things kind of neutralize and alkaline inside the body. So it's no problem. It's no problem digesting. So it's not like you eat and then you have to like sit like this for half an hour trying to get through the food. Also, like watching how you are. Are you out of breath? You know, are things easy or are things tight? Try to work out what's going on with you. If you are lazy, if you feel ill, if you like cannot open your eyes sometimes in the morning, if you have to have several times a day where you like nap, or for example you have to eat a lot of sugar, or you are constantly overstimulated to make your system work and to empower yourself. Now in the last audio that I've done, that I've posted online, that has to do, so sorry, I'm distracted, there's noises outside, on the 25th of August, that has to do with why and how come we are so obstructed and why we can't accept how we feel. This is really, really harsh, but we sometimes don't know what we're feeling or what we are thinking or how our body naturally reacts and what is the state of our soul, because we are too distracted. And also because most of the things that we have in our lives may be run by stress or run on stress or high cortisol. So also this is to do with diet and internal hygiene. If you have a look on my Patreon on the 25th of August, once again, I've posted an audio outlining these topics and how to break into the body, how to break into the blood, the system, you know, the guts and everything like that, and to make sure that it all works. Sometimes it is sleep, sometimes it is poetry, sometimes it's sitting alone, sometimes it is solitude. Quite often it will be about maybe drinking certain teas and having a liquid diet for certain people, removing the obstacles. And as I said earlier in previous work, it's not about, oh yeah, gaining something from the outside. It's like, out there is my perfect mate, or somewhere out there is my perfect job. It's not necessarily about chasing something like a donkey chasing a carrot. It's more about knowing how you feel from within, and maybe some of the time it's about getting a certain comfort or getting certain pleasure through just being embodied. And now if you understand, if you admit that you're experiencing great pleasure from the fact that you're alive and you are embodied, which is what Virgo really is at its top notch level, if you're enjoying your body and if you're enjoying the simple methods that it works, if you love your system, if you love your nervous system, if you love also the contrasts in the world and naturally curious, if you're naturally curious about the way that life is and the way that life works, this is a job well done. So it never actually really mattered if you did or did not start an enterprise during this time, or if you did or did not clean your house, if you did not or did deal with your backlog. The idea is basically to try to feel intimate and curious about who you are and who you always have been. And it's easier than most to do certain procedures. If you have certain type of problems in your blood, like if you have a certain virus in your blood, if you have a certain parasite, if you also have certain type of things like you don't have enough vitamins or nutrients, I forgot what it's called. I forgot, anemia. If you have anemia, if you have any kind of blood-based parasites, viruses and things like that inside of your system, you may actually find a way, you may find a cure. So definitely drinking, detoxing, having a look through the herbs online, having a look also at what I posted if you like. You can ask me a question about herbs as well in a private message through my website. You can have a look at what other people have done to remove certain obstacles. And for sure, it would be the best way to go if you have high cortisol, if you have heart problems, and if you haven't resolved those during Leo, which was the time of the heart, and you're not quite sure as to how to really fill your body with light, maybe it is about hemoglobin. It is about understanding certain chemicals and certain biological responses. And why I'm quite big on this during this time is because I'm seeing that quite a lot of us are very, very true to our souls and we really want something great, deep and meaningful. But we aren't capable of sometimes reaching certain results or certain even chemicals within our brain or our body, simply because we are out of time, we are out of energy, or we are out of breath. And for certain people, we are out of health. And if you don't want that aspect to be surfaced in your life today, there is something going on. If you don't want to look at your health today, like say looking at your teeth, the state of your skin, the state of your intestines, the state of your bones, also blood, anything that is coming up to the surface, especially, for example, if you went to a doctor's appointment and actually gave you some questions about, what is going on in your system, it's not going to be so well. So I'm seeing people chasing a beautiful dream. Some people really want to be in love more than anything. Some people want to be a child again. Some people want to be treated as the most favorite person in the group. Some people really want something very gobsmackingly beautiful and gentle during this time. There's some very beautiful dreams and very beautiful heavenly angelic energies working during this time. But if you don't have your body together, this may only be within the realm of like watching TV or imagining things or just talking about something. So if you actually want to skyrocket and experience something beautiful, and if you really, really would like to dream, it's not for every single person, but for a vast majority, it would be a question of internal health. And it is about gut and intestinal health, is also about nervous system health, brain health, and everything like that, based on the amount of sleep that you're getting, the kind of chemicals that you're producing, based on also what kind of things you're ingesting, and also including substances and things like that. And we need to be light as a feather to be able to go on a journey. So sometimes during this kind of time, we need to be very light in thought, very light in feeling, very amazing, very amazed by the world. We have to be very angelic and very brilliant people. We have to be very, very wise and smart and curious to be able to fit certain roles. There's some very, very special places given to some people in other people's hearts sometimes during this time. Or there are some very, very special energies that are working with us. But we cannot control a lot of this. So it's also very wise for Virgo to remember that. Virgo as a sign sometimes keeps on controlling things in order to get them correct. But if you know that it is all just about sometimes mystery, sometimes it's about magic, sometimes it's just about what happens, it's a randomizing sequence, or it's a curious coincidence. That keeps on giving you freshness in a world to live, and dislodges any kind of harshness, dislodges any kind of drama, dislodges any kind of long-term thinking patterns, any seeking, any obsession, any long-term observation, any concentration. Like there is just this beautiful and serene, loving and natural serendipity. Then there's going to be a lot more there for you. So for us all, I feel it's time to cancel things that are too long-lasting. Sometimes it is very good to cancel a mission if you know that it just has so much work assigned to you. If you're working constantly, have no choice but to keep on working while the world is actually taking place right around you, or when there's something happening even right around the corner that you're missing out on because you are too possessed or possessive over your dream or over your family tree or over your community. Maybe it's time to grow up and wake up and see what unpossessive, free flow, organic ways there are to deal with your lifetime and your greater universe. And how can you admit that sometimes you don't have everything, you don't have all the answers, you don't have all of that which you wished for sometimes, of course, and you don't need to have it. You don't need to have a bag full of stones that you're taking up the mountain, even if they're precious stones. You don't need to possess yourself with the most amazing gadgets or have the most amazing trinkets to be there. And you also don't have to have the most amazing personality or the most incredible words. You don't have to be the most incredible person in the universe to serve a certain purpose. And you never needed to be all that. So for some people, the rose-tinted glasses over what they've come to be have fallen. And for a lot of us, it's no longer worthy to keep fighting for the wrong team or for the wrong gain. And in certain cases, there's not going to be any more left. So I talked about scarcity. There's no moreness. So for example, you set up a channel, you're not getting any views. For example, you call a friend and they're never available. Or you've fallen sick, or you just don't have anything, or you don't have any money for a project, or you don't have anything that you would consider real at the moment in a situation that you're in. The scarcity and the no moreness, like there's no more. is actually a very happy sign of the times. So I'm not telling you to necessarily celebrate scarcity, but try to reach into your heart and find the answer, because quite often people don't know this, but when we are naturally weaned away from, for example, social media, if you're weaned away from a relationship, if you are weaned out of situation, there's not actually really any sorrow within it. It is just a natural flow of energy that does that. And as we are taken aback, or as we're taken far from each other, you don't have to fight it and still be, how can I say, drilling, or still be buying those things. You don't have to still commit and brainwash yourself, or kind of get strict with yourself to make sure that you're in there and that you still, have a chance. Try to basically wash free of all of it and try to stay bendy and kind of juvenile. It's good to see yourself more like almost like as a flower rather than a big oak or a tree. It's nice to flow with the elements. It's beautiful to decide on the spot what you want to do, to choose your words not based on what you've written on paper, but what you kind of imagine in the moment. And it's really nice to also let other people do that, letting other beings, animals and plants and spirits and people, children, anybody, make their own choices, and allowing this kind of alkaline group consciousness or universal consciousness take shape, within which there is no hierarchical figures, and there's no kind of extraterrestrials, and there's no like big power, there's no push, and there's no big money, like that's the guy with the money, or that's the worker bee, or that's the healer over there, or that's the shaman over here. We've all got a very simple and very lukewarm, maybe very normal, very organic and alkaline solution for lots of problems that we've been trying to solve sometimes all of our lives. The main thing is to not necessarily to step down from the pedestal that you have imagined yourself standing on. For some people, yeah, that's exactly what we would need to do to make it all function. For certain others, it's more just about diluting this edginess, diluting the criticism, diluting the cruelty, diluting the horror of things, the obsession or the over keenness or observation of things that is without a need, as you want to see less karmic results, and you potentially want to see more smooth, alkaline and dreamy ideas and results come to the plate, as you don't necessarily want to grind and get so hardcore about your life to the point where you don't have anything but limits or guidelines to follow. So you want to get out of this rigidness and this boxiness and eventually find yourself in the new. And what I'm also basically very interested in during this time is how to flow out of rigid Groundhog's Day repetitive boxy behaviors and patterns, how to leave behind unnecessary debts and dues, how to get rid of ancestral karmic patterns sometimes that are displayed with people still, and how to somehow get less out of that which is hurtful, painful, cruel, or ironic. And as you see, this is not comfortable for me. This takes too many hours to complete. This is hardcore, or this is dangerous. You start to get real, and you're not getting real like, yeah, you can do it. You can, man up or woman up, and you can do it. Get real, by getting strong. It's not necessarily about this, because Virgo is a naturally contracted sign. It's very spindly, and it's actually very psychic and very innocent, naive sign, although it is not seen very intelligently in the astrology world. It's actually really amazing. It's a sign of miracles sometimes, and of a new version of you coming up to the surface. Sometimes it's about a new renewed part of your life coming true. Sometimes it is being more gentle and being more humble, and also sometimes it is about being more human and being more warm and tasteful. And for a lot of us, it's also about being more learned and understanding that you can't just fight forever to get what you want, and you shouldn't have to. And that, the devil's in the details and all of that. And some people are really afraid of this like spindly, detail-based protocol that Virgo may spin. And it's actually not also true. If you let go of needing to be in control, and if you also let go of your own energy and your own energy field and your force and what you do and do not have the power over in this life, you'll actually receive a lot more. So it's just about forgiving. It's about sincerity. It's also about no longer denying the truth. It's about understanding age. It's about also understanding the superficial, and if it is ruling your life, and also recognizing that there is hurt. So coming back to the body and the physical and the biological, sometimes there's hurt, sometimes it's emotional or soul level hurt, and sometimes there's a lot of pain that we are actually covering up with very primitive and robust behavior and a certain type of denial that you can sometimes see in the corporate world and certain tribes in the world. And some of the time it's not actually about all of this, it's actually about a need that has not been met. And quite often you see this is a need of the heart. It's Leo is the 12th sign to the sun. It's the 5th sign, but Virgo is the 6th sign, so it's 12th to the sun. Is behind the sun meaning. And in a certain way, Leo will ask, what do we do with all this pain sometimes? Pain of being a child that was not loved by the parents, pain of being a lover that was not told the truth, pain of being employed by a corrupt person and being a worker without getting enough amenities or without getting enough pay for what you do. So it's not just about this, it's about having certain problems. Sometimes it's hard problems, sometimes it's core center, soul-based questions that really will probably even never get fully answered unless you walk with a certain force or certain energy that is kind of in between sometimes and in the midst of certain things. And for real, Virgo will find you a path even if you don't believe this is the most necessary path, even though you believe this is this or this is that, and you may make it up in your head however you like. But there are sometimes people, there's sometimes doctors and surgeons, sometimes there's healers, sometimes there's shrinks, sometimes it's just friends and neighbors that may actually figure you out, and they may actually pass you something on that may help you and help you grow, even though you by now may not necessarily have that in your mind. So just about a certain type of compromise, and also letting other people do the work. So you're not the only one who is pushing on your business, so you're not the only one that's doing all the work in the house, so you're not the only one planning and thinking and feeling and imagining, so that you have some kind of a compromise, and that you can have also a contrast with another person. Of course, sometimes you can even have arguments, but it's just about having a certain type of infrared safety and a feeling of warmth and respect within your body, and having a certain level of health that feels like a beautiful treasure to have in a life, and this feeling of being treasured just for the sake of being, and feeling like the treasure that you are. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a look at my links, have a look at my Patreon, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.